Hello, folks. Stand by here in a moment for tonight's edition of the Buddy Martin Show. We're a couple minutes early, and we're going to share some news with you, which you probably heard about and read about. Oh, what a day. Nothing going right today, including me pushing the button 2 minutes early. But on the program tonight, we'll get a full dose of information. You'll hear about the injuries Florida has had, one which you probably maybe hadn't heard about. We'll talk to the doctor, Dr. Pete Indelicato, about hamstring issues. Shane Matthews will be along with us live from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, who, by the way, tonight is celebrating its third anniversary. 3 years, hard to believe. And I know that the guys are out there tonight. Shane Matthews is there. Brendan Martin just left. Others there. I think Shane will be coming to us tonight from Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. So if anything like today or all day today, who knows what might happen. Man, oh man, I got a story that I would share with you sometime about the absolute worst, worst customer service I have ever experienced in my life. I won't bore you with the details, but something should have taken 15 minutes, took 3 hours and 20 minutes. At the end of the day, I didn't get it. Let's hope it gets better. There's some good news on the horizon. Big signee today. Florida landed a whale of a player, by the way, and he'll be talking about that in basketball, not football. But he couldn't have played either, but he chose basketball. A name you've all heard about, a 5-star dude. But even if this basketball, it's always the rising tides raises all ships. And when you get a good player like that from a family like this, it's nothing but good stuff. We continue to get those legacy athletes. We love that. And it's something we hope that Florida will continue on that pace. A lot of stuff going on today in the world of sports. The Olympics is over. I thought it was sensational. The ratings said it was sensational. Everything was great. They had that hiccup in the beginning where they had the problem with the stupid play they put on satire, which they wish they probably hadn't done now. But even having said that, the performances were over the moon. Fantastic. Florida Gators had a great Olympics. We wound up with 40 gold tied China. And it was just a splendid, splendid show. And I watched a lot. Did you watch it? I did. And I really enjoyed it. But now on to the matter of things like injuries and football and how to deal with that. Franz Beard's back with us tonight. That'll be good. Shane Matthews, Dr. Pete Indelicato, and maybe even Brendan Martin. We'll see whether he joins the fray or not tonight. And I'm going to shake off all this bad day dust I've had and start again, and try to see if I can have a better night with you folks. It always makes my day to have you guys. Thank you. Stand by. Buddy Martin Show's on the air.
Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking, but be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Well, good evening and welcome to another edition of Meldon Law Monday. I've been talking a lot today. My voice is about to go 3.5 hours to AT&T. 3.5 hours for a simple request. A new phone, new number. 3.5 hours. At the end of the day, they had to cancel it. And my voice is gone. So I apologize for that, but we'll last the hour. We'll be all right. No sympathy needed here. We're going to try to lift our spirits tonight a little bit. See if we can get going in the right direction. We need your help. Always. You make this show. You folks are great. Our sponsors are great. We love doing it for you. And tonight, I'm going to try to air every comment I can. I want you folks to chip in. Let's start out with the early birds. Let's see who we got here. Tommy Seal. Let's just put him up. Good evening to you, Tommy. Thanks for checking in early. This is what this show is really about right here, is you folks checking in. And the really big news is Florida landed C.J. Ingram. Now, maybe that's not shocking to many of you because his daddy was a great player for Florida, but he could have gone a lot of places and played football. Instead, he chose to play basketball and could have gone there a lot of places too. And Franz Beard will explain all that later. We'll get your take on that. But he decided to try to take basketball. And boy, has he made Billy and Todd Golden's program really relevant all of a sudden. Not this year, but next. He's a tremendous player. I think he's 6'6". Some of you know about him. He was a former point guard, I believe. I don't know as much as Franz says about him. His story today is online right now to Gatorbait. If you want to go there and read it, remembers, he says, Todd Golden's goal of turning the Florida basketball roster to one of the capable of sustaining greatness at the highest levels got a shot in the arm Monday when C.J. Ingram, 6'6", 195, Hawthorne, where his daddy coached him, committed to the Gators, the son of former Gator football star Cornelius Ingram. We all remember Cornelius very well. C.J. took only one official visit, and that was to UF, although he had more than 20 offers. This is basketball, including Kansas, Michigan, Texas A&M, and Georgia. This guy can play, so I'm excited to see him play. He's a 4-star project, number 26 project over here, according to On3. So good stuff happening there. Really good stuff happening there. Now we're hoping, look, folks, I can't promise anything tonight, okay? I don't know. Shane, what Matthews is supposed to be weighing here tonight, but he may be at Spurriers and can't get online. I don't know. I don't see him online right here. And if not, we'll just be the two of us until we get Dr. P. Indelicato. 35 years, he was a team doctor. I don't know if you saw it, but most of you probably did. Anthony Richardson did a length interview, or to call it normally an exit interview. He said he'd already exited. And he kind of threw Florida under the bus. I know he feels like he didn't get a fair shake from Dan Mullen, and maybe he didn't. I don't know. But he really lambasted a lot of people and said he was going to go no matter if he went pro or not. He was leaving Florida. Very unhappy, and didn't like it. He complained about getting put in against the number one defense, Georgia, when he was injured. And he said, I don't have the exact quotes. You may have read them. He said he had hamstring problems, as if it was a plague. Now, I checked this out today, and I do remember him having problems with his hamstring. But the person who should know this, who's on top of it, said to me, and see if you can recall this, said to me, the only hamstring I remember him having was early in the season when he broke loose on a long run. Was it Miami? I don't remember. And probably ran 35 yards and grabbed his knee or leg and pulled up lame. But he sounds like he had him every day. So I don't know what that's about. Just not good for him, I don't think. And so I've asked Dr. Pete, who won't address this particular issue, but is writing a story for Gatorbait on hamstrings and what happens to them and what happens to you when you get them and so on and so forth. He's going to be on a little bit tonight, a little bit later on. If he survives Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, he's there too. Brendan was at Spurrier's. Everybody but me tonight and friends with great stories. That's okay. If my voice lasts, I'll be right here, all right? So I'll say good evening to Toby Permeter. Thank you, Toby. Thank you. Mike M says, always enjoy the show, buddy. Thank you very much. That means a lot tonight to me to hear that. Those are good words. I could use a few good words. Appreciate it very much. Let's see. Oh, he's on now. All right, here you go. Let's go see the QB. We understand he is in the house. I don't see him. But he says he's on. Where are you, Shane? I see nothing but dark. Hello, Shane. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get it. Shane, obviously I'm not hearing you, not hearing me. You got a bad spot in the Spurriers right there. And if you'll hang up and call my cell phone, at least we'll have that. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was afraid it might happen. You have to have good conditions for this show, and Shane doesn't have them. So hopefully Dr. P will be at home when he dials this in. Let's see. Should we try to call Shane? Oh, maybe he'll call me. Call Shane Matthews. All right, folks, as we continue on with your comments. Thank you.
Calling Matthews Shane.
There you go.
Mobile.
There you go. All right, see if we can get him on chat for a second with Shane. You're probably ruining his night.
Hello.
Shane, how are you doing? Speak up loud. You're on speakerphone, and we're trying to get you on the air tonight. How's it going out there at Spurriers?
It's good. I'm in the car headed home. It was a good night. I mean, they had different waves of people coming in, starting around 5:30, I guess, up till 9:30. But it was a good turnout, all for a good cause. I thought I was on the string net or whatever it's called, but the signal out here is not very good.
No, I was afraid that might happen. But thanks for persevering. This will get you on and off of here so you get home. And I wanted to know what your thoughts were about what you've heard about the scrimmage. There were the injuries and one that we reported that most people didn't know about. And what your take was on your show. I missed it today.
Yeah, I saw bits and pieces of the scrimmage. I was there for a little bit. Some good things, some bad things, but typical scrimmage. It was kind of long, so I didn't stay the whole time. Obviously, you knew when Jamari Lyons went down, it was a season deal. You could tell immediately. So it's a shame, but that's part of the game. Really shame for him. But I thought Graham looked good when he was in there. I thought that some of the young receivers made some plays. I thought Katie Daniels made a lot of really good plays as well at the running back position. But there were some turnovers. Typical scrimmage, I guess. Like I said, I don't grade or anything. I just kind of watch it from afar. But not too bad for scrimmage number one.
I got a chance. I missed the interview. It was live. Graham Mertz is on Spurrier today, and I got them to send me a copy of that. I couldn't post it here because it wouldn't play, but I put it on the Buddy Martin Show Facebook page if you want to go check it. And he was good. He looked so polished. He had the right answers. He looked very upbeat and genuine, and he looked comfortable. Like he knows Fine Bob now. And Fine Bob was nothing but complimentary to his face, of course. So I don't know. He looked like a guy who felt good about things. So what are you getting out of that? Anything?
Well, I didn't see the interview, but Graham, he's a pro, man. He's he's been in college football a long time. He's a tremendous leader, a natural leader. Got a great football IQ. Had a really good year last year. I think people believe in him in that locker room. And it's his football team. Again, I think Graham will be fine. I think I've been saying it all summer long. It's just going to come down to the front seven on defense, how they perform. Just play a little bit better than you played the last couple of years, and I think this team has a chance. I'm optimistic.
How much do they miss Lyons? Was he playing? Was he starting?
I don't know, buddy. That's the hard thing about when you go to scrimmages. They don't have. I mean, Graham would be out there with Katie Daniels at tailback and, DK at wide receiver. Then you have a couple of walk-on receivers. And I never know what their rotation is, how they get everybody some tape. So I don't know if Jamari Lyons was penciled in to be a starter. Obviously, it hurts from a depth standpoint, and I know he was looking forward to having a good year. You hate to see anybody get hurt for the season.
For sure. On to another subject. Let's take the Olympics first. I think you probably finally tuned in. I thought the Gator athletes acquitted themselves beautifully, and I thought the whole thing, they made lots of money. They did lots of good things. The production value was far above what I thought it was, and I personally had a great experience watching it every day. My wife and I did, and we enjoyed it. And I thought all the athletes, particularly women, were really great.
Well, I watched a lot of golf. I watched track and field, and I watched mostly swimming. Those were the three sports. Some of that stuff I had zero interest in. I don't get into the closing ceremonies, all that stuff, it's just a little strange to me. I don't get into the artsy stuff. Nothing wrong with it. It didn't entice me at all. But I guess it was a great Olympics. I mean, we won the most medals. I think we were scheduled
40.
to do that.
We tied 40 with China.
Yeah. So some people say, some
Gold.
sports or some events were
disappointing
that we didn't win gold or what have you.
Right.
But, I mean, that's sport for you. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. That's why you play the game.
Exactly. Shane, we're going to have Dr. Pete Indelicato on there. In fact, he's on the screen right now. A second, we're going to talk about injuries. And this doesn't pertain, our conversation, particularly to Anthony Richardson himself, but it's an assessment of hamstrings, how you get them, how you treat them, whatever. But did you read the Anthony Richardson interview?
I didn't read it. Somebody brought it up a couple of days ago last week on my show. And look, this has nothing to do with Anthony, in my opinion. He's injury prone. I don't care, whether it's at the University of Florida, Oklahoma State, or wherever. He was injured a lot, almost every year in high school. He was injured at Florida, and he's been injured as a pro. And some athletes are just injury prone. I don't care how strong and how big you are. That's just what God gave you. I mean, it is what it is. I was a little bit disappointed in what people were telling me about the interview, and I had some people send it to me, so I listened to clips of it. I thought it was disappointing, but that's how he felt, so it is what it is.
Yeah, we had the discussion. Someone told me that they didn't remember because the way the article was written, it sounded like he had a hamstring every day, and the way we all know that he did get it in against a tough defense in Georgia with a bad leg, and he complained about that. But someone said, though he had hammies all the time, one person I talked to remembered one major hamstring injury, and I think that was early in the season. And one of I wasn't sure when it was, but Toby Parmenter, who follows it real close, says he thought it was South Carolina. Do you remember?
He pulled his hamstring on the long run.
Miami?
Dan Mullen was the coach against South Florida.
South Florida, okay. Oh, that's right. He did say that. Toby did. Yeah.
So, I mean, what's that got to do with your training? I mean, you were running full speed for a touchdown, and you pulled your hamstring, and then, he hurt his knee dancing in the hotel the night before the South Carolina game.
In the hotel. A dancing injury. Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm rooting for Anthony, but he is these are facts. He was hurt majority of his career in high school. He was hurt a lot at the University of Florida, and he was hurt in his rookie year. Let's hope moving forward he'll have good health, but some people are just very injury prone. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, for sure. Now I'm gonna do this. You guys were both there at night. I'm gonna pull a good doctor up here with us tonight, wearing his orange. Did you see this thing that Florida's considering going back to the orange jerseys? Shane would never want to wear those, would you? Huh?
I don't mind the orange jerseys for once a year.
Well, Dr. Pete must have mind. He's wearing orange. Can you hear me, Pete?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Say hello to Shane.
Shane.
You guys tell me all about the party tonight. What was it about? First, Dr. Pete, you go. How was the party at Spurrier's?
It was great. It was a big crowd there. There was a lot of people meeting old friends, meeting new friends. To be honest, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It was a great turnout.
Yeah. And was Shane behaving himself?
Did he? I don't know. Well, we shared a few stories.
All right, you can respond, Shane. Go ahead.
No, I mean, like Dr. P said, it's a great event. It's all for charity, and Coach, Coach just shows up. He's the figurehead, but Freddie Weeby and his staff,
fantastic job
with their deal with the Ronald McDonald House. I think 66% of the drink sales go there. I don't know how many of the ticket sales go towards that, but it's cool. I think what's cool about it to me, and Dr. Pete can touch on this, is Coach has they invite a lot of guys that work for Coach, and I think the coolest thing is the media guys that come back that Coach had a good relationship with when he was the head coach here. Like Mike Bianchi comes in from Orlando. Obviously, Chris Harry still works here, but you got Mark Long, you got Edgar Thompson, you got Graham Hall, Scott Carter. Just all those guys.
Wait a minute, now you got Buddy Martin. You said I sent Brendan tonight, so here you go.
I didn't see Brendan there.
Yeah, he was there
when I was in the media boys room, but I think he was there.
He was there, yeah.
But I just think it's cool. I don't know how many other coaches regardless of the sport, maybe a Billy Donovan type,
right,
would invite and be that had such good relationships with the media guys.
Well, wasn't that one of the things that Coach Spurrier always said? An indication, Pete, you were there for this, is that what's good is you can tell how the coaches are regarded when their athletes come back to visit them after graduation, right?
Yeah, Coach. I think it's a quote from John Wooden, I believe, because
it is. You're right. It was
John Wooden.
Yeah.
He says, "You'll know what kind of coach you were and what kind of relationship you had with your players if they want to come back and drink a beer with you."
Yeah, yeah.
And I would say out of all the coaches, all the players that Coach Spurrier coached, whether it was at Duke, Florida, South Carolina, wherever, I would say 99.9% of them would want to do that. There's that 1.1% that probably doesn't care for him for whatever reason. Maybe they didn't get playing time or what have you, but I think it's a pretty cool deal, quite honestly.
And the team doctor comes back and plays golf with you every week. That's good too, right, Pete?
Yeah. We have a good time playing golf together. He's a very competitive guy, doesn't like to lose at anything. So it's a good matchup.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna ask you guys this question. I'll let Shane go. We're going to talk about hamstrings here with Pete. And all right, what's your favorite go-to item on the Spurrier menu?
Ooh, I think the being Italian, I think the pasta with the seafood.
Really?
Yep.
What's the seafood?
Shrimp and lobster and scallops. I'm a pretty good chef myself. So when
you're Urban Meyer's private chef. He told me.
Yeah. So when I compliment somebody else's
Italian
skills in the kitchen, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, Shane's a steak and potatoes guy. Shane, what's your favorite?
Well, yeah, it's some form of meat and potatoes.
Which one of the steaks is your favorite?
I'm a filet guy, quite honestly. But tonight was buffet. So you got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
That's what was the beauty of it. Is I had multiple plates. I had lots of cookies. I brought cookies home. And I'll have cookies for about a week now for dessert.
Miss Jerry's cookies?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
However, they really aren't her real cookies.
No, I know.
I wish they were, though.
Yeah, I know. But you've had the real ones, too. So, well, it's always great. What a great place Spurrier's has turned out to be. Hasn't it, guys? What a recruiting tool that is, huh, Pete?
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm so happy that it's as successful as it is, and all the accolades go to Fred Wiebe and that whole crew there. They do a great job. The service is fantastic. I'm pretty sure the upstairs is now close to being completed, so it's going to be air conditioned, and now you can go outside and upstairs and enjoy the outside and air conditioning when it's necessary. So it's a great place.
For sure. All right, Shane, one quick comment. CJ Ingram coming to basketball, big get for Florida.
Yeah, it's exciting. He's not going to play football anymore. Just stick with basketball. And I was told a couple of years ago that was going to be his sport. And congratulations to him. I know Cornelius is excited, and to have the legacy playing in the O-Dome is going to be awesome.
Yeah,
and pretty cool stuff for sure.
Yes, it is. Shane, have a good one. We'll be on your show tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yeah, and we'll have you, buddy. You're going to be the leadoff hitter for Mike Bianchi. How about that?
For who? Bianchi.
Bianchi.
No, he's no cleanup hitter. He just bats second. That's all. Thank you, Shane.
All right,
Look
buddy,
forward
take
to
care.
it. Talk to you in the morning. All right, Shane Matthews. All right, Pete, let me just say this. Thank you to our sponsor, all of our sponsors, particularly this one. Meldon Law, you know Jeffrey very well, and he's been
I
really
sat
great.
next to him tonight. Yeah.
Did you? And he's been a sponsor of the show for a long time. He, of course, likes to talk about Gator sports. He does it all the time. He has some great gifts he gives away on his website, opportunities, and every now and then he does some law. But the big news I want to mention is they have another office open. There are 4 of them now: Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, and now Williston. So if you want a really good law, and by the way, they don't just farm you out to some first-year attorney. That you get to talk to a Meldon there. That's what they say. So if you have any questions, or maybe you want to have somebody review your case for a second opinion, hey, Doc, you do second opinions, don't you, Dr. Pete?
A lot of them.
Yeah, so you can get a second opinion from them too. So check them out. They're good people. Meldon Law, they won't back down. All right, but talking to Jeffrey tomorrow, he's back from his trip in Europe. Did he talk about his trip in Europe, by the way?
He sure did. He had a wonderful time. He's there for 5 weeks. Ask him about his stay at Madeira, an island about 200 miles off the coast of Spain.
Oh, Spain.
Madeira.
Oh, okay. I will do that. I will. All right, Pete, let's hear me talk some medicine, okay?
Yep.
You are about as experienced a person as I know in this field. You've been doing this. A lot of people don't know. You did it for the Giants and the Dolphins, 35 years, all those great coaches. My favorite story
Uh-oh.
well, it's in the book, or when you talk to the coaches, like when you had to talk to Steve about losing his starting quarterback. Right?
Oh, you mean, yeah. He's something. It was Danny Warfel, right? Is that the story?
I don't know if that's who it was or not.
Danny injured his knee and
He's out.
Unfortunately had an injury to his ACL.
Yeah.
So we took a look inside his knee with a scope and went to practice. And I waited till Coach Spurrier had a free moment of practice, and he called me over. He said, "How'd it go?" I said, "Well, he's got an ACL injury. Unfortunately, he's going to be out of commission for a while." And coaches said, he didn't say anything really. He just looked up, and there was a flock of birds going over.
No.
And he said, "Doc, where do you think those birds are going?"
No.
And I just couldn't believe it. Here he lost his starting quarterback, and nothing fazed him. He's always one step ahead, it seems. Thinking about what's he going to do.
Right.
In different situations.
Yeah, the great wizard was thinking about the birds flying. That got me too. That was amazing.
Yeah, he's a character. He's great. Love him.
Yeah. So I know you love him to death, as do we all. All right, so let's do this. Let me. Franz Beard wants to ask you a question, but before we go in, let's just talk about the general scope of hamstring. They're a bugaboo, as you point out. They always have been and will be, and nobody's got the answer for it. But there are conditions and things that cause it and that help it. And this nice article we're going to run tomorrow, Dr. Pete has written for us. It's about hamstrings. And I don't know what causes them, but they sure do ruin a lot of careers. And talk about the article you wrote, Doc.
Well, it was just a little brief summary on how difficult they are to prevent, and how difficult they are to treat. We've come a long way in the past 20, 30 years regarding diagnosing them and prognosticating as to how long somebody will be out. But we're not where we need to be in terms of preventing them. And they still remain an elusive, frustrating kind of injury. I would say that was one of the more difficult injuries that I would have to manage, taking care of athletes that had hamstring injuries, because you want to get them back quickly, but you don't want to rush them back too fast, because once you get a recurrent hamstring injury, they are, they become even more of a management problem. So it's best to go slow and maybe get him back a week later than a day earlier, because as I said in the article, they're a problem.
You say, I'm quoting for this article, which runs tomorrow. They say it's really not a long, lengthy story. It's a blurb, explanation, background. You said, today, with the availability of MRIs, I know our sponsors glad to hear that, Titan MRI, but we have a much better understanding as the extent of the damage that has taken place when they're injured, the location and size of the inevitable bleeding that occurs following a pull gives us a heads up as to predicting the severity and length of time to recover. I never knew the bleeding was an issue.
Yeah. MRIs have certainly been a tremendous benefit to identify the extent of the damage that we didn't have 15, 20 years ago.
Say hello to Franz Beard. He's
Franz,
back.
how are you?
Always good to see you, Dr. Pete. I hope all is going really, really well in your life, and miss seeing you on a regular basis like I used to, because every time the Gators played something, you were always there.
Yeah, and I enjoy reading your articles. I almost approached you this past basketball season the day after you wrote a very memorable article, and one of these days I'm going to sit down and have a chat with you. I'd love to share time with you.
Well, I'd love to. Let me ask you a question that's been kind of on my mind a lot. Florida got rid of the artificial turf, and I know that the new turf is vastly different than what Coach Spurrier inherited, for example, in 1990, and said this has got to go. But artificial turf and real grass, it just seems to me that there are still more injuries on the artificial turf than on real grass. And shouldn't we be saying, hey, let's get rid of this stuff once and for all?
Well, you're absolutely spot on. The data shows unequivocally that artificial surfaces still carry a very high degree of injuries on it, lower extremity injuries, knees and ankles. When the powers that be, particularly in professional sports, were approached with that data, up until now they chose not to act on it. Maybe hopefully in the future, the NFL will take a different approach to it. But right now it's the status quo. So you're right, Franz, with that observation about injuries and artificial surface. They are not the panacea of injury-free surfaces to date.
Now, let me also ask you this. Now, I understand the bigger, faster, stronger concept of, some people say this obviously that's a factor in more injuries. Guys traveling at higher speeds, hitting harder than they've ever hit before. But I've had people tell me who played in the past that we didn't have these kind of injuries back when we wore those Riddell shoes with the wider base and everything. And they say that in the push for speed, we've gone to shoes with narrower heels, narrow at the joints up front, in front of the toes, etc.
Wait a minute. How about high tops? How about just the old days of high tops? Huh?
Exactly. Well, maybe I'm just dating myself.
Well, I didn't wear high tops for the high top.
Maybe I'm just an old fart here.
Well, we all are.
But is there something to the fact that we have sacrificed health in a quest for more speed on the football field and going to shoes that may produce more speed but are less safe for the players and their general health?
Well, that's a great question. I think the answer right now is we really don't know exactly the answer to why there are more injuries, but certainly a variable factor is the size and the speed. When you talk about shoe size and surface, it really it's the bigger the shoe, the wider or flatter the surface, the larger the context between the shoe's sole and the surface, the ground, the turf, the more likely you are to get injured. Saying it a certain way is that the greater the friction between the shoe and the surface, the more force goes through your ankle and your knee, and the more likely you are to have an injury. So, contrary to what you may be thinking, Franz, is that the smaller the shoe surface, sole surface, the less likely that shoe or that surface isn't going to grab your foot, so that when you suddenly stop and cut, you don't generate as much force through your knee joint. You know, most non-contact ACL injuries are non-contact. Athletes plant their foot and cut, and they go down. They go down because a tremendous amount of force goes through their knee joint, and that ACL ligament just gets overwhelmed. And in sports medicine, we call it the heart attack of the knee.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great phrase. Heart attack of the knee. Well, Pete, now tell us about one more thing about your other things you're doing. You're teaching, and you still got your, you're consulted a lot. What's keeping you busy besides golf and Spurrier?
I fortunately I still get asked to speak quite a bit.
Yeah, what you do,
and I enjoy it. I enjoy going out and sharing my experiences with people that still want to know about.
Franz, who knows more about sports medicine than Pete Indelicato?
Nobody.
I agree with you.
Nobody that I know of.
I want to ask about a friend of ours right here, very intimately and quietly, and just express concern and prayers for someone we all three love. And I had a chance to talk on the phone, and we know his struggles physically have been well chronicled since he left football. And that's the beloved Scott Brantley that we do love so much. He's fought this thing, Pete, for a long time. You were there every step with him. I don't know what you would call it. Obviously, he's got some form of dementia from his football days. I won't try to diagnose it, but I know you're going to try to go see him and talk to him. I just want to say a word of appreciation for Scott Brantley as a man of faith, a football player, and a great friend.
I spoke to him today, and it almost brought me to tears how he sounded. I love that guy. He's he was one of my earliest, closest friends when I first got here in 1977. I remain very close to him, over the years. So my thoughts and prayers are with him, and Mary.
What an angel! I know, Franz, you share that. I know because you're.
Oh, Scott's the best, and I go back to his days playing high school football, and he still played the greatest high school football game I've ever seen. He had 30 unassisted tackles in a game, the only game that Forrest lost his senior year. And they didn't lose the game because of him. That's for sure.
And in the recruiting, nobody's been recruiting. I mean, Bear Bryant came down here. He had big time coaches coming to see him, Pete, back in those days. So, anyway, you guys are great. Pete, let's do this again, okay? Always great to talk to you. Thanks for being on the program. And we'll look for your article tomorrow in Gator Bait. We'll talk about Hammies. We don't mean the kind you buy in the delicatessen either. Thank you, Pete.
See ya. See you
All right.
guys. Good night.
Thank you. All right, Francis, let's pick it up right here. And first of all, let me just tell folks about the fact we just talked about MRIs, importance of them. And I want to get my sponsors plug in here. Titan MRI, a really good bunch of people with a really good company. They really speak to the needs of the consumer, by trying to make it as simpler process for you as they can to have an MRI, especially if you're in the North Florida area, like Gainesville, Ocala, Lake City. Titan MRI can customize your appointment. If you can't get there because of your job, they'll make you an appointment to get your MRI at night or the weekends. They want to make it easier for you. And of course, if you've been in those places and had the MRI, if you go the first time, like Francis and I did, we didn't like it getting in there and being claustrophobic because we're big guys. Well, they're also working on that some ways to help you better as well. So if you don't have insurance, you can pay with cash or card. Go check it out for yourself. It's a terrific bunch of people. TitanMRI.com. Francis, well, the news wasn't great on the injury front in terms of the scrimmage.
No, you lost Jamari Lyons, and the two pieces of good news out of this. First off, it's never good news when you lose a guy, but the almost good news is that he's going to heal easily. He's going to miss this year. He's going to heal easily, and he should come back stronger and better than ever next year, based on what the history is of recovering from these injuries here, even at UF. So that part's good news, is that he's not he's going to have an opportunity once he recovers to get stronger and better. And let's just hope that this is his last serious injury. The other piece of good news is that, very fortunately, Billy Napier has recruited well at that position, and the Gators have a lot of depth on the defensive line, something they didn't have year one or last year. They had more depth last year, but still not as much as they have this year. So they've got players who can play. Now, can they play at Jamari's level? That remains to be seen. But from a standpoint of talent and quality, they've got it. So it's a question of productivity from here on out. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're on the topic. There's some questions. They want to know, what position does Jay Weston play? Well, know more about Weston, but an article about him.
Jamarcus Weston.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He started out as a wide receiver. He is the nephew of Rondi Weston, who was a defensive lineman here back in the 80s. From Clewiston, Florida. He started out as a wide receiver, moved to safety last year to linebacker. This year he's playing on the edge, and he is also a brilliant special teams player. There are people who say that he could have made an NFL roster this year just on special teams. He's that good. He's that good of a gunner. You're talking about a guy that's 6'3", 330 pounds, who can run like the wind. So let's hope that this is a year that he also gets significant playing time coming off the edge, because apparently he is a real freight train coming off that edge. So, I hope that the gene pool comes through for him this year, because his uncle was a great defensive lineman.
Yeah, wait a minute, I got a guy named Gene Poole on the roster?
Yeah. Some of these guys, I guarantee you, some of these guys none of their genes drowned in the pool.
Yeah.
Most of mine did, but none of theirs did.
Now, did you get a chance to see? You probably did because you've been busy. The Graham Mertz interview on Feinbaum.
Have not. No, I have not.
I tried to. I got a chance to get it, and I posted. I hope I posted it on our Facebook page, the Buddy Martin Show. If you want to go there and look for it, it's nothing revolutionary, but I think you would be able to recognize the tenor of his answers, the rhythm of his answers, the confidence, not cockiness, he talks about the program. When asked about what he was going to work on, they said, "Well, to stop mistakes. We'll quit making mistakes, mental and otherwise. Going to cut down on those." Just a really professional way he handled it. It really impressed me. I always have been impressed. You've always been impressed with him too. But this particular interview was like, okay, this is a senior, 6 years talking, who gets it and knows it, can throw it right back at Feinbaum. With Feinbaum, he's at ease with Feinbaum, and Feinbaum likes it, which is unusual. If you have a chance, go and look at that and see what you think. Okay.
I will. And here's the thing that I think a lot of people aren't so aware of, and that is the fact that Graham Mertz has a football IQ, a regular IQ, but also a football IQ that is just absolutely off the charts. These smart quarterbacks have always done well. We had one here named Matthew, Shane something or other. He's the only guy that ever picked up the Spurrier offense in one spring. In fact, he picked it up and then perfected it. Danny Werfel was a brilliant quarterback who knew and understood the Spurrier offense. Rex Grossman, another one that we think of. It takes, people don't understand this concept of football IQ, but there's so much of it that is visual. It's kind of like I've said it before. It's kind of like the idea of you and I going into the Louvre, and we look at the same masterpiece that's on the wall there, and you get one idea of what it means and what the artist was trying to portray, and I see something else. You may see the true artistic value in it, and I may see Easter bunnies and egg hunts. Real genius sees genius.
Well, you said the Lou into the Louvre. I immediately thought about you checking to one of those places in Louisiana to get some of the jambalaya and some of the stuff that you took us to those places out of the way that I've never heard of. Some little shack. Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. What do you taste?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Buddy, when we go out this year to Austin, one of the things we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to stop. We're gonna have to take a detour off I-10, go up about 35 miles up to a little place called Manchac. And there is a little bitty restaurant there. There is a sliver of dry land between Lake Maurepas on the left and Lake Pontchartrain on the right. And I got to tell you what, these people, you know how good Deanie's was? You remember how good
places we went? I can't remember.
Deanie's up in Metairie. You and Miss Joni and I went there. And as good as that was, this place is better. I'm telling you, it's unbelievably good. And it's one of these places like you get out, they say out in Texas, for example, that if you want to know how good the food is, count the number of pickup trucks that are parked out in front. Yeah. That'll give you a good idea.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like one of those places, a little dive that you'd never really think that much of, but by golly, you go inside and you don't want to leave. The food's so good.
More importantly, I don't know this answer, and I keep getting these questions about Dr. Van Sass, something being written about him and the alligator. 3 or 4 people.
The alligator is writing that Dr. Sass had secret contributions to Republicans, etc., like that.
Oh,
And who knows? I'm not. I'm not.
I didn't know what it's about. People keep asking what it's about. I don't know what it's about. I've heard.
I don't know how true it is. I hope for the sake of the reporter, I hope that his reporting is good. But for the sake of Dr. Sass, I hope that it isn't. It's one of these things that it's one of these things that nobody's going to win no matter what. There's going to be a winner and a loser out of this whole thing, and I don't know. I don't know enough about it to say what's the
That's
answer.
probably a good thing just to leave it right there. We don't know enough. And if you want to read the article, Google it. I haven't had a chance. And sorry, we don't know everything. But if you folks have read it and want to comment it, that's fine too. When I Google it, it says Ben Sass resigns. That's happened a long time ago.
Well, there's this thing called Ben Sass spending spree, and it's front page of the Alligator. And like I said, I hope for the sake of the reporter that it's true. I hope for the sake of Dr. Sass that it isn't. So somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose here. I don't know who it's going to be.
Here you go, right here. It's 10 hours ago. I finally found it. I'm going to read the first couple of paragraphs. Sass's spending spree. It's hard to say. Sass's spending spree, where you have president channeled millions to GOP allies, secretive contracts. Okay, that's what it says. In his 17-month stint as U.S. president, Ben Sass, hang on a second, more than triple his office's spending, directing millions in university funds into secretive consulting contracts and high-paying positions for his GOP, meaning government allies. Sass ballooned spending under the president's office to $17.3 million in his first year in office, up from $3.5 million in former U.S. President Ken Fox last year, according to public available. But anyway, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. So,
well, and like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know enough about the reporting, if it's legit, if it's good. Don't know. We'll have to wait and find out how good that is. If the Alligator has it, the mainstream newspapers are going to pick it up too, and there's going to be a whole lot of investigation. So, but I have not heard anything from the University of Florida claiming that this was a problem. But let's wait and see. It would be a sad thing if it would be a sad thing if true. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Well, let's round it out on a good note. I could use some good news today. Things are looking up for a basketball program. I think the baseball team is going to be good. The Olympics were fantastic for the University of Florida. I mean, Katie Ledecky story, I don't care if she's not a Gator.
She's a Gator.
She did so much for University of Florida. And her shout out she gave to the guys she trained with when she won her first medal was terrific. She represented University of Florida like nobody. The all-time winner of medals by a woman in the Olympics, period. She was just loving on the University of Florida. And I must say, thank you, Katie Ledecky.
Well, she's an incredible competitor, number one. And number two, whatever she's done, wherever she's been, it's always been done in a first-class manner. And, you have to admire people like that. She's never brought dirt on anybody at any time for any reason. And she's a Gator now. I mean, Anthony Nesty, she and Anthony are best buddies. She and Bobby Fink trained together, and the two greatest distance swimmers in the world. They're like brother and sister almost. So it's really a great situation, and we're very fortunate to have her here. And buddy, I got to ask this question. I wonder just how Florida swimming is going to explode now that all of a sudden Anthony's got going to have all these scholarships at his
really.
disposal. I think he's the best coach in the country, and he's handicapped by having one of the worst pools in the country to have to recruit to. UF, for all the good stuff UF has, we have a rotten pool. Let's put it this way: we can't host the SECs here and things like that because the pool's just that bad. We need an auditorium.
Some of these pools are unbelievable. What the amount of money they spend on these things, incredible. By the way, just to follow up on the alligator, there are now other legitimate mainstream people reporting the same story. Salon.com, former president of Florida, spent millions to hire his Republican people. And we got AP, University President Sassy resigning. He is resigning.
He has already resigned. He's been gone.
I didn't know that. Okay.
He's been gone.
Really?
Yeah.
How do we miss it?
That happened 2-3 weeks ago. That he's gone. He's been gone. But we're going to wait and see. No matter what happens, there's if the people are in search of the truth will come out. So let's just leave it at that, and let's talk sports. Florida got a commitment today from C.J. Ingram.
About that.
Cornelius Ingram's son. His real name is Cornelius Ingram II. He's 6'6". He's 195 pounds. He's 16 years old, buddy. He led Hawthorne, quarterbacked Hawthorne to 2 state championships in football. Got him to 2 straight Final Fours in basketball. And I got to tell you what, he is the real deal. He's a kid. He's just like his dad. He's got that step back 3. And if you try to come stop him from shooting the 3, he'll just blow right by you. And he is a thunder dunker. That's all I can tell you.
Good news. That's good news. This one is good news. Legends are born like this. The way Jack Caglione hit his first home run. Now, some people are saying, yeah, he hit it off a position player. But the drama is it's in this little town, Quad Cities. He hits a ball
Davenport, Iowa.
And in the river, he hits it. And there's people, and I have a friend who's a Royals fan, Pat Obley down in Southwest Florida. He is bananas about having him on his team. And so this is the way legends are born, okay? He hit this thing out there, and the call, and it was, there's a gator in the river.
I love that. I thought that was don't you know this guy had been saving that and that and just waiting for the first ball to go into the river. And by
Grand
golly,
Slam.
he got one.
Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So, and I saw an interview also where he said, I'm not even going to count that one. He says, said my first bat was horrible. And I think it was off a position player. I'm not going to count. Guess what? We're counting it. And that's the thing legends are made of. He hit one in the river. I saw him play as a rookie, all the stories. So it's a wonderful story. Caglione is such a good story and such a good kid and such a great baseball player.
Well, he is, and he's from a terrific family too. His dad, down in Tampa, and family followed him, and basically, he could have been, even though he had the Tommy John surgery, could have been drafted out of high school and would have been drafted high, but would have been drafted as a pitcher. And what Florida did for him was by playing him as the DH his freshman year when he couldn't pitch and he couldn't play in the field. I think that sparked something in him because you look at what happened in the next 2 years. I think that he may pitch a little bit when he gets in the pros, just like this team they played used a position player. They were down 13-2. And, never hurts some manager, their team's down and says, hey, Jack, you want to throw a couple innings? And he's the kind of kid they'll say, suit me up, buddy.
Yeah, right.
I'll be happy to.
And by the way, yes, I believe it was the A&M coach who said that Jack Cagliano's the best first baseman he's ever seen in college. First baseman ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So all right, Francis.
He's a class A. He's a first class defender. He's as they're going to discover, he's going to hit the baseball. He's not going to strike out a lot. And for a guy that swings as hard as he does and with such power, it's amazing that he doesn't strike out like 50.
There's going to be some horse-eyed spheres floating down the Mississippi River.
Oh yeah,
Get ready for it.
He's gonna. I think he'll be fast tracked into the big leagues, and I hope so.
Brady Singer and he will join up. That'd be great.
All
right,
tonight, by the way.
Yes. Are you? You got your piece done on CJ?
That's in, and then I'm going to do something else for later on.
You're back. France is back. Everybody's clapping. Yay!
Not exactly.
They have to pull me out of the rubber today to get me to go. So
I'm not exactly back,
well,
but
you're here. Physically, you're here.
I'm working at it.
Last night I was in that shape. 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, France, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right.
As long as the pain pills hold out, I'm in good shape.
All right, man. Take those pain pills.
Take care, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. See you. All right, Franz Beard, bringing it as he always does. I'm going to bring you this before I say goodnight. A long day. I have nightmares thinking about being on hold for 3.5 hours trying to work with AT&T. It's simple. I want a phone and a number, and I want them sent to my house where I live. Not to my residence, no comment here. That's what threw them. I want y'all to have a better attitude tomorrow. My wife will kick me out down the bay if I don't. So, Lord, bless us tonight. Thank you for that. I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. We mentioned Melton Long, Titan, MRI. These people are special to me. And in fact, I talked to one of them last night. Scott Bradley's wife, Mary. And I'll say a prayer for Scott. Mary and her friend started this company, Joe, and they went to high school together. It's a beautiful facility. They hold their stakeholders downtown, and they do a great job. And they want you to know they're counting on you to give them some support from the standpoint of how to help with our health here in Marion County. If you can see it your way, just remember, this is what it's about. There's those trials that they do, medical trials they do there at Renstar are really critical to learning about our health. And they take that material, they send it out to biomedical companies, and they design medicine for us. And we get our DNA in that mixture there. So it's important that we have people sign up. You could do this by going to renstar.net. And then from renstar.net, you can sign up and you can get paid if you're picked, compensated for time and travel. And you might get some special investigational medications not available elsewhere. So check them out. They're great people. Joe and Mary would appreciate it. I would appreciate it. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to health questions of today. That'll do it for tonight. We're back tomorrow night with our team. David Whitley will be back in the fold. We haven't had him on in quite some time. He'll just take on the scrimmage. And we want to keep bringing you these programs with these special guests, who, by the way, are what make this program. You heard me say it many times before. It's all about the guests. It's the show with a mediocre host and great guests. That's what we do here. So you have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow, folks.